Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. All right, we good? Okay, we just wanted to announce that we're really, really excited for Henry Jamerson in concluding our civil rights case against the City of Tulsa and the other named defendants in that federal action. The City Council approved on Wednesday of this week a $26,250,000 settlement agreement to pay Henry Jamerson for the 25 years that he spent wrongfully incarcerated, and then additional award of compensation for the 10 years that he spent out wrongfully as a registered sex offender. We believe it to be one of the largest, if not the largest, wrongful conviction settlement in U.S. history. It's certainly the largest in the state of Oklahoma's history, and it couldn't be more rewarding for somebody like Henry Jamerson, who had his life stolen from him and has worked so hard over the last 35 years to make sure that his name was cleared and that he achieved innocence, and everyone came to know that he was not had any association whatsoever with the crime that was committed in 1991 that he was accused of. And so we're very excited to see him start the second chapter of his life. And if you guys have questions, I don't know how many of you have followed the case, but we've been working together since 2015 to get this information out, to get the evidence out. So if you guys have questions of Henry or myself, happy to answer them.
Mr. Jamerson,
How you doing? How you doing?
Thanks for being here and taking our questions. Do you think the settlement represents justice for the 25 years that you lost? Why or why not?
I think you do, but you don't bring back all the time that I spent in prison. So I'm blessed and happy it's over with.
How much of a relief is it?
Take a lot of weight off my shoulders, and my family as well.
Dan, from all the cases that you have covered with the City of Tulsa and see them fight them to the teeth, were you surprised that they did not go to jury trial for this?
No, I think that anyone who's objectively looking at the facts of this case, they did a good job by hiring outside trial counsel that was a very experienced trial lawyer that's very familiar with federal law, had worked in the federal court system. So the city was smart in hiring outside counsel to evaluate it, rightfully so, because some of the city legal had been implicated in the conspiracy claims against the city for the wrongful conviction and in the cover-up of the DNA. And I think that they were just very diligent once it was on file and it was laid out in such detail that allowed them to go through and essentially verify the factual pleadings. And there wasn't a whole lot to fight about from a factual standpoint with what happened. So I think that you've got the right mayor who's making the right calls. The Sixth Circuit recently upheld a verdict that was compensated a wrongfully convicted gentleman at a rate of $2 million per year. And so with that already being upheld in the federal circuits, Henry's case had the potential to cost well over $70 million to the taxpayers. And so making the decision, one, to get it done in an early fashion that allowed Henry to move on with his life was an important factor in us getting it resolved. He'd been fighting this long. He wants to move on to the next chapter of his life. He's got a mother that's 84 years old that he cares very much about providing for. And obviously, with the conviction in his past and the registration on the sex offender registry, he's unable to get employment. So, it's a double-edged sword because he'd like to be able to present this to a jury because the facts are so egregious. But at the same time, we need to balance his life out, what his life goals are, and let him move on with his life. And so the city took an opportunity to get an early resolution that ultimately saved them millions and millions of dollars. They did it without spending an exorbitant amount on defense cost. So it was actually a really efficient decision that the city made in this case.
What is it about Mr. Jamerson's case that seems to connect more deeply to you than others?
I think that from the moment that Henry walked into my office in 2015, after 5 minutes of time with him, I knew he was innocent just because of who he is as a person. And he's one of those people that within the first few minutes of getting to know him, you know that he's innocent of what he's been charged with. And like his persistence, he's the reason that he's in the position that he's in today. And it was because he had persistence. He was unwilling to give up. He was confident that the DNA was in fact down in the property room. Even at moments when I lost faith that we would find it, Henry was always really, really encouraging, really polite, really respectful of the work that we were doing. But he truly is the reason that he's here today, because he just wasn't going to give up. Other things about his case that had like a profound impact on me, just that he sat in prison and had the opportunity to take parole when he was 15 years in custody, but he had to admit guilt if he wanted to be eligible for parole. He denied that opportunity because he wasn't going to admit guilt to a crime that he didn't commit. And so more often than not, people who are in that position, that are in prison, that they don't have the financial means to really fight it, they usually just take the parole, but in doing so, they really discharge any kind of claim that they have for wrongful conviction by admitting guilt. And in this case, Henry maintained his innocence from day one, has always maintained his innocence, continued to maintain his innocence when he had the opportunity to get out of prison early, went ahead and served his entire sentence, and in the month he got out, came and hired us to really put the case together. And I feel honored that we were hired to do that. So it's been a privilege of my life to work for him, and he's an incredible human being.
Mr. Jamerson, what would being removed from that registry list mean to you, and what is kind of next for you in your life?
Well, I'm glad my name is cleared and, ready to move on to move on, enjoy life, and help my mother a lot because, she's 83 years old, so trying to enjoy my life with her.
When Henry was in custody, he lost his father and he wasn't allowed to attend the funeral. He lost his brother and he wasn't allowed to attend the funeral. A month after he got out, he lost his other brother. And so he's had a lot taken from him over the years, and he's excited to put together what he has left. And he's a young man. He's a young man getting ready to start a new chapter of his life, and so everyone's super excited for him.
How does it make you feel to hear Dan say those words about you as a person and your character?
It make me feel happy, because you don't find too many people like him. So I enjoyed his time working on my case, him and his rest of the team. So they good people, man.
We've developed a nice friendship over the last 10 years, kind of going through this, and unfortunately it was over this circumstance, but at the same time, we've learned a lot from each other, and it's been an overall a pretty great experience working with Henry, and clearly couldn't do it without him. So.
Do you plan to help others who have been wrongfully convicted in any way? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I like to help people, ones that locked up for crime they didn't do. I like to, help them out. They can get out with their family. So that's my plan. Because nobody should not be in prison for crime they haven't committed. Being taken away from their families. So I'm willing to help them if I can.
You guys got anything else? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Do you mind sending us some photos of you? Just if you have any from what are we just from?
They want the baby picture.
No, nothing like that.
I've been trying to get baby pictures for 10 years. Good luck.
Just from when you were going through the court system and going through that process at the time, if you have any pictures from back then.
Yeah, we got some.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then by chance, would you possibly have time to just do a sit-down interview?
Yeah.
Yeah?
When you want to do that?
We could do it right now.
Do it now, yeah.
How many? We've got to go